So what are some things that have helped? I don't know if it's entirely gone or if because my audience knows I'm very weary of medication, like
Mm,
prescriptions. I don't think that that is a long-term solution. I don't really think it's a solution at all.
no.
And if you read the black box label, people, before you start coming at me, it literally says potentially increases thoughts of suicidal ideation and violent behavior. So someone who's already there, like that just is crazy to
Yeah.
me.
It
But yeah, like what
I
tools or
agree with you.
practices that you've found that have helped you?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I'm not telling everyone to go get off their medication because I think some of it is needed. Though
Hmm.
for me, I didn't go seek doctor's advice. I'm just like, I've dealt with this most of my life and haven't done anything. I've been on medication now, and it actually made it worse because it actually shut off all feeling to everything, and then it gave me an excuse and a further
Mm.
excuse because before that I didn't have an excuse. I just had to be the person that I had to be. Whereas now I had an excuse for my behaviors towards myself and others, and I didn't like that. So I'm like, I can do what I need to do without this, and I'm not using this as my excuse anymore. So I took myself off. What did I do? I dove headfirst into anything and everything that I could when it comes to self development. I went into um, the shadow work or trauma work or whatever. There's so many different names for it. Unconscious mind work, all of it. A huge factor for me was breath work. Breathwork's an enormous part of my life. I facilitate it now. It's in every part of what we do as a company and as facilitators. It's a pivotal piece for us with connection to self as well. There's so many different modalities of breathwork, but the particular ones that we use, the holotropic breathwork for trauma release, was monumental for me in having that release and breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking too is with that medication, doesn't it affect libido a lot for men specifically? I think both men and women, but doesn't it affect that?
I think some can, yes.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to remember. Look, at the time, we were so disconnected as a couple. There wasn't much happening
There,
in
anyways.
that way anyway. So I would have known. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I think long term, being on that medication long term, and for me, that is such an important factor between a healthy relationship. And I don't know, it sounds weird, but even when things are rough, it's something that you should still try to prioritize because it's almost like that tether that
Yes.
reminds you that you're on the same team. Because I think when you don't have that romantic element or you're not connecting sexually, it's very easy to see the other person as your adversary. At least that's kind of been my dynamic and a lot of women that I've spoken to. So then you have someone that's already feeling disconnected, lost, depressed, maybe even suicidal, and you take away their real form of physical intimacy. It just
Yeah.
seems like it would have a compounding effect.
It does. It has a huge compounding effect, and because I guess when there's that disconnection between two people, it can feel like a chore as well. And we
Hmm.
don't want to do chores. No one really likes doing chores, so
Mm-mm.
it's almost forcing yourself to do that so you can have that connection because I mean any like everyone enjoys it. I don't know anyone that doesn't, and even if it may feel like that chore at the start, it's not going to feel like a chore at the end, and you're going to really go, oh, why don't we do this more often anyway, because it actually, you feel better, the endorphins are released and you have that connection and you're full of love and full of joy with the other person. So yeah, it's a huge benefiting factor. And just touching on the medication again, the thing with the most of the antidepressants is they're not just shutting off the depressive thoughts; they're shutting off all feeling.
Mm.
Where, like, all feeling, it's energy and it's in us. Where is that feeling and energy going to go? There's nowhere for it to release, so it's only going to keep bottling up, bottling up, bottling up until there's an explosion. So.
Hmm. And then at your retreats, do you do any somatic work or nervous system work as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of somatic release for us. Yeah. It's a huge part of what we do. Energetic, somatic release, shamanic work. It's all part of that 3 day experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. I'm starting this class next week with this facilitator. Her name is Irene Lyon. If you don't know who she is, definitely check out her work.
I will.
She is a nervous system practitioner. And what I've found through just like my journey is that you can do a lot of these things, but if you don't have what she calls it capacity, so almost my understanding is like the threshold of what your nervous system is allowed to or able to handle before
Mm,
it'll go into fight, flight, or freeze or shut down.
yeah.
And you can do things like breath work or psychedelics or cold plunge, like all of these really great modalities. But if your foundation, if your nervous system isn't regulated, then it's going to be a temporary fix. So, and that's great. For some people, like you absolutely need that while you work on the other thing because
Yeah.
some of these things are very time sensitive. So like you need to be able to snap out of a dark place very quickly, very quickly. So I'm not saying that anything bad about these practices,
Mm,
but it's more about making sure that you know that unless like the foundation is where it's supposed to be, that it's not going to actually bring you to healing. It's just a temporary stint, if you will. So I'm curious with 3 days, you can do a lot in 3 days, especially if it's in the right container. What is the integration process afterwards?
So for the people that come on ours, there's the post retreat support's almost more important than the retreat itself for us.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that has been on our retreats, we always do a post retreat group call 2 weeks post. Everyone's in a private messaging group with all the facilitators and everyone that is on those retreats, and that group is open forever. And then we have an online portal for all these people with all of our tools and resources, breathworks, meditations to keep on doing this work for themselves. So there's constant support, constant contact with them as well. Um, the there's been so much time and effort, love and compassion going into the retreats themselves that everything that we do has purpose, down to the music we use, down to the words we say, and yet there's so much room for intuitive style mentoring throughout the weekend as well, because everyone has different experiences. Though, yeah, the post retreat support for us is hugely important. And like I said, there's so many different elements. We bring all the elements into the breath work, the somatic release, the physical release as well. That's just as important for a lot of people as well. So then we bring all the elements into it: earth, wind, water, fire. It's all a huge part of it. Um, Mind, body, spirit. Spirituality for us is a huge part of what we do, of my journey as well. So we bring it all.